Coming off of the week that we had, I was just super proud of our guys, and obviously a 3-game win streak is great. I thought we've done a lot of really nice things in that stretch. The 2 games preceding the App State game, we weren't as good defensively as we had been prior to, and certainly what we were on Saturday. But I thought Saturday's game was our most complete game. Fewest number of turnovers for the year. I thought we shared the ball. Our shot selection was phenomenal. We got on the offensive glass. Obviously, the defensive performance was our best of the season, and kind of showcased what we're capable of doing, especially from just a toughness and physicality standpoint. Wasn't thrilled with how we ended the game with some offensive rebounds that we gave up, certainly on the foul line, that kind of skewed those numbers just a little bit, because it's really hard to beat any team, but especially a really good App State team when you get out rebounded. But I think for the most part we won the rebounding battle until the final stretch right there. But hopefully we can get some guys healthy and continue to build off the momentum and confidence that they've earned from this stretch, and see if we can take it on the road and apply a lot of the things that we did well, and replicate those, because they're going to be very similar game plans moving forward.
I guess speaking on similar game plans, what do you expect? Like, how does Coastal maybe compare to some of the teams that you've played here recently, just as far as how they like to play?
Yeah, I think the way that we defended App State's guards the other day, I thought we did a really good job. I mean, I know Alonzo Don had a great game, but I think he had to really work for everything that he got, and we did a great job on Case and Jennings and Tot, and a lot of the ways that those guys get going is really similar as to what Coastal's dynamic guards are able to get done. And so I think this is probably the most talented trio of guards within our league. I'm talking about Coastal Carolina, and that's evident with their usage, their scoring, their shot selection, and all those things. And so that's where it starts. You have to do a great job of slowing those guys down. They're obviously not going to be nearly as post-oriented as what App State is going to do, but they're still tough. They're physical. They're going to drive the ball. They're going to get on the glass and those types of things. So we have to replicate a lot of the same things that we did defensively against App. We've got to be able to do that against Coastal if you want to find success, even though it's a little bit different as to what they're doing. From an offensive standpoint, I think they're a terrific defensive team. So for us offensively, we should we got to really build off of just the pace and the physicality that we screened with and played with, and how we stayed in attack mode against App the other day and finished our paint shots. That version of Justin McBride is a really fun one. I went back and watched the film and cut out a bunch of clips where, he's getting rebounds and pushing the ball 94 feet and driving it, and I don't know how you stop that, to be honest with you. And so we need him to do that all the time, because I think his matchup is a key matchup in all of these games, just like it was against App the other night.
And how are you doing health-wise, as far as
I'm
Eddie
doing great.
and the other
I'm
guys?
feeling really good. I rested well. Went to church yesterday. Took a nap with my dog Bruno. He's a big nap guy. But I'm feeling great. I appreciate you asking. The players don't know yet. Haven't gotten a report yet, Shane. But we'll see. We had treatment yesterday. Everybody was there, and it seems like they were progressing in the right way. I had Kosei send me a picture of his eye yesterday. It looked like the movie poster for the fourth Rocky movie. But I think he's going to be all right. He's a tough kid. He'll bounce back. But we'll see where we're at. It doesn't change a lot of what we do coming in on a Monday. Obviously, playing Wednesday kind of tweaks a little bit of this Monday being more geared towards our next opponent, as to just solely being focused on ourselves. But in terms of physically what we get out there and we do at this point in the year on a Monday, it was going to be pretty light. And anyway, but once we get an injury report, we'll see.
You've talked about with Justin kind of what he's been able to do. I know that 3-game absence kind of right before this team started going on that win streak. During that time, was that maybe a little beneficial for some of the players to start figuring out their roles a little bit more? Then when Justin gets back, all the pieces started aligning together. How did you maybe see that absence help maybe build that bridge over?
Yeah, that's a great question in a number of ways, right? I think, just anytime you go through adversity, it offers up an opportunity to get better, for guys to step up. And, I feel like the experience that those other players got, and I'll name them off, is going to serve our team really well. Obviously Justin Taylor, he got an opportunity to play a lot in that stretch, and now he's, able to jump in there and impact the game for us in a variety of ways. He certainly did that the other day, even with Eddie's absence and being out. During that stretch where Justin was out, Eddie and P. Fowler both had to step up, and that's clearly, giving them both confidence and, more experience for a freshman is the best thing that we could give them, is just more minutes on the court to get out there and play and learn and play through their mistakes. And so, those minutes are incredibly valuable. We started tweaking our lineup a little bit, and, rightfully so, but we had to because of our lack of depth of, putting Kosei and Brad and Cliff out there together, where you've got a really skilled lineup. You're not the biggest in the world, but we play to that strength, and that's been really good for us. And I think in this stretch we've really just increased our transition offensive efficiency. I think we're really doing a great job crushing teams in transition when we get stops and getting out and up and pushing the ball, throwing ahead, getting some early post ups, getting it cooking as we call it, and then finding guys for open threes. And so I think that's a huge separator as you get in the latter part of the season, because everybody's defense gets better as the season goes on. Their half court defense, and it becomes more difficult to score on your opponent because everybody knows your plays. They know your play calls. I think some of our opponents know our play calls better than us, just based on how many execution errors we had the other day. But getting out and playing in transition has been a huge key for us during that stretch. And I think multiple guys having an opportunity to step up and get confidence with the injuries has been a positive outcome from it.
A couple things with your defense and how much it's improved. We've talked a lot about, not always carrying over the scout to the floor on game day. Have you seen, has that increased the last couple weeks?
I think it has, yeah, it really has. And it has too, because, as we talked about coming in here on these practice days, and you have to be very efficient as you get down to the latter part of the season, because you just can't be on the court forever. And I think our shoot around Saturday morning was the best one that we had. We pride ourselves on, you've heard me say it, we're going to do it right or we're going to do it again. That's a staple with me and our program. We had one reset the entire shoot around going into App State. That's offensive and defensive, and guys were really locked in, really hooked up. It helps that you're playing a team for the second time, and when you get to watch that film and you get to see, man, we did a really poor job from an execution standpoint defensively the first time. So when they can visually see it and see themselves doing it, whether they did it correctly or incorrectly, that helps you the second time around. And I think that's typically why we've been able to find a little more success in rematches against teams, playing better against them than as opposed to the first time. But I have seen a lot of improvement with the guys carrying over, the nuances or details of what we're trying to, take away or really emphasize against our opponent defensively, and that's where a lot of those numbers have been able to improve.
And even early in the season, maybe even a month ago, there were some struggles just with guarding your guy, playing one-on-one defense. Guys, you get beat off the bounce. Have you seen your team take some pride in being better at that?
Without question, I think it's been a huge point of emphasis for us. We came in after Christmas, and I said, hey, look, I can continue to show a bunch of these clips of, you guys, being out of a stance, having a poor closeout, or just simply somebody taking you off the bounce. Our margin for error with that is very small, and so we have to be able to guard and protect the paint and build our defense from the inside out and find our shell defense. We have to really do a great job of doing that consistently. And so that's been a point of emphasis, but I do think the guys have taken on the pride of doing it, and I think some of it simplifying what we're doing defensively a little bit to where it allows us to not get quite as extended. I think when we get really extended defensively, we're just not nearly as effective, and it puts guys on islands to where we maybe get exposed a little bit more than we'd otherwise like to. And so finding ways within scouting to go against an opponent and say, hey, this is an opportunity for us to get a little less extended that's going to play better for us to help us guard the basketball, collectively as a unit, has been something that we've emphasized as a staff, but the guys have bought into it and certainly taken the pride, and that was evident on Saturday. I thought we just sat down and guarded the ball with just elite toughness and grit, and that was the difference in the game.
Talk more about Cliff a little bit. Obviously, he's playing like an all-conference guard right now, averaging almost 16 per game, over 40% from three in conference games. You knew he was a great shooter when you recruited him. I think we all knew that when you signed him. But some of the little things that he's doing now, especially probably since the Arkansas State game, he's starting to drive the ball more. He did the other night. He had 5 assists the other night when his shot wasn't falling. Did you know that he could do all the other things besides shoot the basketball, or is that something he's worked on to become more consistent with?
I think when players transfer, like, they want to have a different usage, right? So obviously Cliff's an elite shooter, and we wanted to build his game off of that when he came here. I don't think he had really proven that he'd done a lot of those other things consistently, and I don't, whether that's him or who he played for or whatever, I don't know. But it was a progression to, help him become a complete player, and that's certainly what he's doing. I'm just a fan of playing off your strengths, right? And obviously Cliff's strength is a really good one. He's an elite three-point shooter. And so if you build his game off of that, then he has an opportunity now to really drive the basketball. He has an opportunity now to make good decisions and have a 0 turnover, 5 assist type of game. So he's really bought into and embraced that. And one of the things that I continue to tell him all the time is, like, you got to lead us in toughness, right? And he's really embraced that, because you would look at the numbers and you would say, wow, he's a shooter, he's a great shooter, and all these things. You wouldn't necessarily say, historically your best shooter is your toughest player, but he is. He really is. He's a guy diving for loose balls, fighting through screens. Now he's driving, finishing through contact. He's making easy plays. I think he's a great example of not trying to do more than he needs to, right? And so he's not out there over-penetrating. He's not trying to make heroes plays and ball screens. He did have a no-look pass the other day that sailed out of bounds. I wasn't thrilled about at the game on Thursday, but yeah, he's really expanded his game. I can't promise you that I knew all that about him, but I knew his desire to be that type of player and his work ethic, and he's matched that with his toughness and turned himself into a real complete player and one of the best players in the league, like you mentioned.
Had 5 steals the other day and leads in steals too. So
yeah, absolutely. And with that, he's finding himself in position a lot, and that was a process. Like, he was a guy that, man, in the preseason, we would break the huddle in practice, and he'd say, "Coach, what time can I come up and watch this?" And it's okay. What do you want to watch? He said, "I just want to see where I'm at. Where's my position? Am I over helping? Am I not helping enough?" Because he wanted to conceptually understand that, and I think that's starting to click throughout the season for him.
We've talked a lot recently, especially with Georgia State, the guards for App State, a lot of 2 and 3 guard lineups that are really, really good. Is Coastal's, you mentioned they might be the best trio in the league. Are they similar, though, to what you've seen around the league?
Yeah, I think they're pretty dynamic. You talk about, Josh Beadle might be the best ball handler in the league. I just think he's got good size. He can get in the paint at will. He doesn't need a ball screen to necessarily do it. He's a great athlete. He's shooting the ball pretty well, but he's a tough shot maker, and he really, stirs the drink for the rest of those guys and sets them up. Obviously, the kid that returned for him. Anyone help me out? You don't know the roster? Oh, come on. But anyway, the kid Rashid Jones, yeah, obviously terrific player. Was one of the leading scorers in the league last year. Is a dynamic shooter. He's expanded his game a little bit as well. And then the Dantzler kid, man, he can just flat go. He can get a basket anytime he wants. And so those 3 guards, they're a handful. And you can't just put one guy. Obviously they're all 3 capable of going for 30. And so it's going to be a collective team effort to say, hey, which of you guys is on these guards right now? You're going to have to really anchor down and do a great job of guarding them with great discipline, and that's easier said than done, because they can attack you off the bounce, and they can shoot it, and they can finish. They're all kind of true 3-level scorers, and they're going to challenge you, the entire time. So you've got to make sure you're really coming hooked up. And our film session today of us doing a great job of that against App State's guards should hopefully, help build some confidence and improve our ability to do that.
Who has emerged as your vocal defensive leader on the court?
Yeah, probably Cliff. I think Cliff does a really good job of, just little things, right? Like we line up day before game and day of game in our shoot around, walk through to go over the other team's out of bounds plays, and he recognizes if they're in a certain set, he starts communicating before we even walk the guys through what play it is, and so he's doing a nice job conceptually with that. I just think he helps guys have great confidence because he's incredibly tough. And you can coach him hard. You can get on him when he makes mistakes. He's going to hit you with a yes, sir, and he's going to go out there and get it done. He's not going to give you an excuse. And so in a lot of ways, I equate that to being a vocal defensive leader as well.
Was that something that emerged as he grew more comfortable with your system, or was it something that stood out pretty early when he joined your club?
Both, yeah. I think both. I think it did stand out early because we knew that he had been really well coached. He played for Donnie Tyndall at Chipola, who's a phenomenal coach and obviously coaches guys really, really hard and a defensive-minded guy. So we knew that he was capable of it. Conceptually, I think this is probably the most different defense than what he's done because he's been at 3 different schools. But so as he's gotten more experience, better understanding that he's worked at, that's probably increased his confidence. And then obviously just his voice that gets everybody else going.
Certainly you have that one voice out there that can lead, but you need the others to be on that same page as well. Are there others that you're starting to see develop that confidence, particularly among the younger guys?
Yeah, I don't know about a voice, but I think, Preston's doing a nice job. He just plays hard and he competes, and he's going to be out of position. He's going to probably say things late. He's going to make some of those, young freshman mistakes, but we're okay with that because you can erase so many mistakes with your energy, your effort, your toughness, and that's what he's doing right now. And that's a great place to start. Because if you become an older player and we're still trying to get you to play hard, we're still trying to get you to compete and play with toughness, and we're trying to teach you a new defensive scheme and be in position, then you're going to be in trouble. And so I think he's doing a phenomenal job of just flying around, playing hard, competing, and once he starts to conceptually find himself in better position, which he's doing, then he's really starting to move the needle for himself and for our team defensively.
So how much have you had to adjust with this group as you've gone along with what your ideal defensive plan was back in August and where it is right now? A lot.
Yeah, there's it's figuring out the strength of this group, right? And so much of what you do defensively is personnel driven, and there's so many different angles and things that go with it. And so this is a different group. Obviously our bigs are mobile, they're physical, they've got good size. Our guards, we don't have the biggest guards across the board, or maybe even the quickest, and so we've got to kind of find a happy medium between how aggressive we can be with our bigs versus how aggressive we can be with our guards, and then what does that lead to in terms of your coverage, how much switching you're doing. That's an important thing for us, just because keeping matchups versus keeping everybody in front, building that shell defense. How much off-ball switching are you doing, because that can tend to take you out of your gaps and expose guys that aren't as good one-on-one. So we've adjusted a lot. To be honest with you, there's a few things that my staff looked at me, halfway through January, and they were like, "You sure you want to do that? We've never done that in these last 5-6 years." I said, "We better do it. It doesn't matter if it worked before or it didn't. We need to pivot and make this type of adjustment because it fits this team better." So there have been a lot of adjustments to move this group into, defending in a way that best suits them and gives them the best chance to get stops.
One of the impressive things, certainly with Justin, is his shot versatility. I mean, he's got all kinds. The sweeping kind of hook, baseline drive, where he protects the ball, was that something that he had, or when he came here, or was it something that's developed this year?
Justin McBride?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a little bit of both. I don't know that he got to showcase his entire offensive game the last 2 years, because he was at Oklahoma State, and then he was at Nevada, and now he's at a good level where he can do all those things. And he can just score in a variety of ways. Like I said, I thought the difference in the game against App was how he started the game versus how we started the game at App. The way we started the game at App, we were settling, we weren't screening, we weren't driving, we weren't aggressive at all. and then he flipped it, and he was unbelievably aggressive. You can't stay in front of him when he's off the bounce and he's in attack mode because he's a 6'7", 245-pound point guard out there. But then he can also go in the post and bully you. He can step out and make threes, and so he's a real mismatch problem. And so obviously that's a matchup we want to build off of against every game, and it helps you that he can beat you in a variety of different ways when we get him in the right aggressive mindset.
I don't know if you saw his post game, but that's what he said. I mean, it was right away. This is, I'm going to. He told me to let's go. Let's be aggressive from the get go, and he certainly was, because the way the game started at App State was quite the flip as well. So
yeah.
He was listening to you. Put it that way.
No, he always listens. He's man, what an unbelievable kid. I need to go back and start watching these guys' interviews because I want to see just how much of their personalities you guys get a chance to see. But he's one of my favorites, not just because he can go get you, 25. That certainly helps. But he's an awesome kid, and he's going to do everything that you ask him to do, and do it with a big smile on his face. And he cares. I mean, he really truly cares. And it's fun when you see him find the success that he's having right now.